The intersection of conservative ideas and reality. Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is our last long segment of the day before Independence Day celebration festivities begin for 2018. Really excited about it. Again, I have a beef brisket, a 19-pound brisket in my refrigerator that is marinating right now, and I'm going to get to cooking that here probably in a couple hours. I'm excited about it. Hey, folks, welcome back to the program. Via video remote, we've got Mr. Dan Wos with us. Dan, welcome, sir. Thanks so much for being with us.
Paul, how are you? It's great to be
Let's see here. Hang
show.
on. We're trying to get your audio queued up. Can you hear me, Dan?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. I think we're up and live. We're going good. Now, you are the author. We've had you on before of Good Gun, Bad Guy. And obviously, you've also got a sequel out. You've got Good Gun, Bad Guy 2, Destroying the Anti-Gun Narrative. How's that second book being received?
Fantastic. I couldn't be happier. The response from gun owners especially has been absolutely overwhelming, and the support has been incredible. And but of course we'll get some of the anti-gunners kicking and screaming, and I guess that's just all part of the fun.
Yeah. It's definitely is that seems to be what's going on right now. I mean, there's still this on the left, this concept. I was watching some of this Ted Nugent interview the other day. I mean, he is just so much fun to watch when it comes and listening to his arguments about, the left really has a goal of disarming the public. That's really what their goal is, right?
Oh, definitely. But the problem is people ask me, what's the divide? Why such a divide in the country? And I think it's because the Democrats are no longer sitting at the popular table. I remember the popular table, maybe in school. I don't know about you, but I was never invited to sit at it. But what happened, this is why we have all these, crazy celebrities, the Susan Sarandons, the Madonnas, and some of the radical left activist senators like Kirsten Gillibrand. They're all coming out and they're furious because Donald Trump has single-handedly kicked the Democrats out of the popular table and sent them to the mop closet.
Yeah, he really has. And they still haven't gotten the message. I feel like on everything, speaking just generally about Donald Trump and what he does, it seems like everything they attempt to do to him, whether it's, the next narrative shift in the mainstream media, it seems like it always backfires on them. I know we're talking about guns, no pun intended there.
No, that's all right. And it's true, because this is where the gun conversation starts. It's because everything that they want to do is wrong for this country. And they want to do it just because that's what they've always done. And I think a lot of them, they just don't want to admit that they're wrong. But, a perfect example is the way we have now taken the fake news and turned them into the bastard child of the media. And for all rights and purposes, it's true, and they should be there. But they took a long time lying and deceiving people on everything from all sorts of politics to the gun conversation, which is what I talk about. And just the conversation of guns brings us into this whole divide that we have in our country between the left and the right.
Yeah, and you talk about the lies. I mean, Joe, what was that statistic that they always talk about? How the shooting statistics, that are just so, there's there's a shooting every 10 seconds or a school shooting every 10 seconds. Yeah. Anyway, they put, I'm exaggerating, but they put these statistics out that are just can be proven false. And then, of course, anytime there is an actual good guy, with a gun that stops, they don't cover that at all. It's, they don't promote the heroism. They don't promote any of that.
Well, there was a report that was shelved since the 90s, and it was a CDC report that they didn't want getting out. And that report showed that guns are used 2.5 million times per year on average to save lives rather than take them. So that was just released. So the truth is, where you have more concealed carry, you have less crime and people are safer. Where you have, the restrictions in the gun-free zones and all the liberal progressive gun policies, that's where people are getting killed. Gun-free zones like our schools, for instance. I mean, these people, they want to keep, there was just just read an article. There was a story how, I think it was the New York Times, is now arming, they're using armed guards outside of their newspaper, studios or newspaper buildings. But, those same people will still promote gun-free zones at our schools. And, that's very unsafe. It's very dangerous. And it's very irresponsible on behalf of the anti-gunners.
Yeah, it's hypocritical. It's very similar to these celebrities with the kids at the border and all this other stuff, and how they're demagoguing it. They're writing these tweets. They're virtue signaling tweets from their Beverly Hills homes with walls around them, with locks on their doors, with armed guards. It's like, can you not see the hypocrisy here? You want to secure your house, but we don't want to secure the country. Now, speaking of securing the country, we're talking with Dan Wos, and he is the author of Good Gun, Bad Guy. You can also go to goodgunbadguy.net to check out all of his stuff, and I would encourage you to do so. Back in the 18th century, back in 1776, I mean, we're getting ready to celebrate Independence Day. I mean, that document, we could talk about it for days, but one of the things that these men did, Dan, was they traded their security, the security of the British Empire, the most powerful empire at the time. They traded that for liberty. And right now we're doing the opposite in many ways, but if our founding fathers didn't have access to guns, I mean, we would not be having the conversation that we're having today.
Exactly. It was because of guns that we were able to defeat the British Army. And the 13 colonies got together and said, hey, we are now declaring that we are, independent. And it was a beautiful thing. And we celebrate it with barbecues. But the truth is, had it not been for those guys, we'd be speaking with a bloody accent.
Yeah, we really would. We celebrate it with barbecues. We celebrate it with fireworks. I would say, what we really do need to do, and I try to encourage this at the events, is to get the document out and read what they were talking about. Read what it actually says about the right of the people to alter or abolish after a long train of abuses and usurpations. And it's just incredible today. And I mentioned this, about trading our security for liberty. And if the left has their way today with their gun debates and what they want to do, I mean, they would literally have us helpless. They would have us disarmed and just completely dependent on the government for that security, instead of relying on ourselves to have the human right. Talk about it. I mean, the right of the Second Amendment is a human right of self-defense, isn't it?
Well, absolutely. And here's the thing. I think a lot of people are getting the terms rights and privileges mixed up. Privileges are given to you. Privileges can be taken away. Rights are not. Rights are inherent. And we have people in our country who say all the time, well, I support your right to keep and bear arms, but I think we need common sense gun restrictions. Well, it's impossible to support my right to keep and bear arms while restricting my right to keep and bear arms. But they're being conditioned in this country to view rights as privileges. And it's a scary thing.
Yeah. I mean, if we treated the First Amendment the way we treat the Second Amendment, and this is a foot in the door. I mean, when you for example, I know people somehow they feel confident when the government gives them a permit, to carry, or what we call here a permission slip. Pay the government money and take this course, and then they'll sell your right back to you. But what you said, we're being conditioned. It's a foot in the door mentality. It's one step away for maybe you need a license to have your Fourth Amendment, from illegal seizures and searches. Maybe you need to take a class to make sure you know how to protect your papers, or maybe you need to go get a permit to, to have your right to religious freedom. I mean, it really is a slippery slope.
Yeah, not to defend yourself. I mean, defending life is the most important thing. And to just the idea that people in our country will fight against us to try to remove that right is astonishing to me. But we definitely have a split of ideology in this country, and on the left it looks like we have people who want rules, like you mentioned, rules, and they want rules and regulations and restrictions and laws, because to them that creates a safe environment. It's a controlled, structured environment for them, and they like that. On the right, we have people who want freedom and who are willing to take responsibility for our failures and our mistakes, but we also will reap our own rewards. So we have that split. And but here's the thing: aside from the people at the top who do want to control everybody, I don't think the average left winger, if you want to call them that, the average liberal progressive, I don't think, the person next door, the person you see in the grocery store, the average people in our lives that are on the left, I don't think they want to control you as much as they like being controlled because it feels safe to them.
That is a really, I would agree with that 100%. I think it's just the fact that they find such a security in the government legitimizing their existence in a lot of ways. And so, yeah, it's a different mentality. I mean, I think the American psyche it was certainly one way for the first 100 years of our existence. It was very much a, no, leave me alone. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to grab and take hold of my future. And there's still a lot of people out there that are doing that, or, pull yourself up by your own bootstraps and that sort of thing. There's still that dream is still alive, but there are more of us who really just, like you said, yeah, I would agree with that statement 100%. There is, comfort in the supposed security of a government. But here's the thing. They really can't deliver what they're selling, can they? I mean, the government cannot actually deliver on this total security that they're promising.
Of course not. But when you're able to give up your rights and let government control or whoever, your parents, your professor, your boss, when you let other people control your life, what you're also doing is you're giving up personal responsibility. And that's the worst part, because now these people who want rules and laws and regulations don't have any personal responsibility, because now they can blame everything on someone else. Well, I couldn't see the stop sign because the tree was in the way. That's the city's fault. Or, as they're texting while they're walking across a busy intersection, it's not my responsibility anymore to look left and right to make sure cars are coming. As long as that street light tells me I can go, it's a way of giving up personal responsibility. And it's a terrible thing, because the more people give up responsibility, the more they're going to need government control, and they're going to need government regulations and rules. It's a really scary slope that they're sliding down.
Look, I know on the national side of things, Dan, things are looking better than they would have if Hillary Clinton was in office. I mean, we certainly know that. But are you confident that conservatives on the right are being successful in getting their message out to educate the public? Is that, is there anything we need to be doing different, in your opinion?
Well, that's a great question. And yeah, and I think we could get our message out better. And I think conversations like the one you and I are having right now are shining a light on a lot of this stuff. We don't have the big, huge media that they do on the left, although that's slowly falling apart for them. We have a lot of these grassroots media outlets, which is great because you can't stop them. And they may not have the reach, but you just can't stop them because they're popping up all over the place. And I think we need to get our message clear, and we do need to get it out. There's a hashtag walk away right now. I don't know if you're familiar with this. It's Democrats that are actually walking away from the Democrat Party because they're starting to see just how corrupt things are with respect to the way they mislead people. So I think our message is getting out, and thank God for Donald Trump, who's really saying it without any hesitation.
Yeah, you're right, and that hashtag is really powerful. Hashtag walk away. You guys need to check that out on Twitter if you haven't. Some really powerful stories of people who said, I voted Democrat my whole life, and but then, and it'll be really, it's interesting. Some of their stories are minute. It's like something happened that just kind of, and then they started just being skeptical. It's like there's this healthy American skepticism that I always talk about when it comes to, this is an American attitude to be skeptical of those in power. And it just it only takes a spark for somebody to be like, I don't know if the media is objective. I think maybe they are intentionally misleading me into a predetermined conclusion they want me to have, and they're trying to control me. And so, yeah, people are figuring it out. And then you have a lot of people, Dan, who are so miserable on the left because they're constantly watching CNN and MSNBC, and they're having to just turn it off for a while. Or they have these, it's almost like some of them need therapy. And some people on Twitter are like, hey, just don't watch CNN for a week and see if you feel better, and then maybe, check out a different outlet and actually get the truth.
Yeah, I agree. I think they should stop. I mean, if for nothing else, their own mental health. But that's what they're doing, and I think that's the only thing they have left, is to just keep doubling down and keep fighting what they consider the good fight. It's actually the bad fight.
Yeah, I know I got to let you go, but I want to once again, it's good guy, bad gun. I'm sorry, yeah, good gun, bad guy. So good gun, bad guy. Go to goodgunbadguy.net, and it's Dan Wos, and I understand you're going to be on the radio in Alabama coming up here in about 10 minutes.
I'm going right now, but before I do, I have to say hi to my friend Levita Jones.
All right, I think she's certainly listening right now on Facebook. So, hey, Dan, I appreciate it, sir. I want to do this again, and you have a happy Independence Day.
Hey, thanks, Paul. You too. Love coming on your show. Let's do it again.
All righty. Yes, sir. Folks, we are going to take a break, and we do appreciate you guys out there listening. Hey, feel free. You can sound off, and you can give me a text message. It's 870-275-9799. Or right now, facebook.com/Conduit News. Back in just a moment.